Well, I'm glad you're here in this day and this hour. It's a great time to be in the house of the Lord. And you know, as we think about the offering that we're going to take in just a minute, it is a sense in which we worship and we come to God and we say, God, I just want to come with this gift to give. And so we're glad that you're here this morning. In just a minute, I'm going to share a few things, but in just a minute, we're going to have that offering. But you know, when we think about our church, we've been talking about this for the past few weeks, that Mount Zion, really our purpose statement is that we would worship God, we would connect with others, and we would serve the world. And that's what we want to be a part. We want to worship God, we want to connect with others, and serve the world. The great commandments and the Great Commission. Well, I want to take about 5 minutes or so, and I want to share something that's really important. If you will, look at your bulletin real quick. If you'll bring the lights up for a second and so that folks can look at the bulletin. And in there, you're going to notice something. You're going to notice on the middle panel that between the budget versus giving, that we're behind. I mean, that is something, I talked to pastors about that. Other churches are going through the exact same thing that we're going through with our economy. And as I looked at that, I began to pray and ask God, hey, God, Lord, would you just show me, as we spent time together, would you show me what would be a way to encourage people to see that we are a church family and we're in this together? You know, one of the things I know is that when God calls us together within a church body, that we are a family. One thing I know about Mount Zion is that we love each other and we care for each other. You know, there are many times I'll show up at a hospital and there's already a life group teacher or friends from the church that are already there. And sometimes, if they don't have a family close by, this is more of a family than a family that may live far away. And so when I think of Mount Zion, I think of a family. And you know, all families face challenges. We go through times where we are challenged, and as a result, we want to reach out and meet the needs of our brothers and sisters. But you know, when I talk about giving, sometimes for some people, it's like their default mode is just to kind of tune out. You ever seen Peanuts cartoon strip? And if you've ever watched some of those specials, I mean, they have them at Halloween, they have them at Thanksgiving, Christmas. And when they show a scene in the classroom, the kids are talking, you can understand exactly what they're saying, but what does the teacher say? Wah, 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 wah. And you know, when the pastor talks about giving or money, so oftentimes that's what we hear. Wah, 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 wah. And you know, I want you to really pay attention and listen, because I want to share some things with you, because as a family, we're in this together. God has blessed this family. I want to tell you, we have many that tithe, many that give, and I am so thankful, so grateful for the sacrifices that have been made over the years to bless this church. And I'm so grateful for that. But I want to share with you a few things, and then I want to give you a challenge that my wife and I have accepted, our staff has accepted, and we want to challenge you as well. And this is what I want to share with you. First of all, I want us to look at what our budget is. Our budget is $1.85 million. That is our budget. Last December, we voted in that budget. It was based on vision, a lot of prayer, a lot of people on different teams and committees, staff, put together a budget. We felt like that would be the budget. All of that represents ministry. It represents things like we have a mortgage on the church. It represents personnel. It represents missions. It represents all kinds of things as you put together a budget. One of the things you may not know is that we do have emergency funds. We have at least $50,000 in a reserve, and we have other reserves, and we make sure that we take care of those reserves. And our staff is watching how they spend their money, and we consider that very important because we want to be good stewards of what God has given us. Now, as we look at the giving, if we were to take a trajectory that went out until December, because that is the end of the budget year, we would receive less than $1.77 million. Now, that may seem very close to you, but that essentially is about $77,000 behind. And that's taken into consideration normal patterns of giving and how God has blessed people. And usually what I'll do is I'll come to you in December and I may share something with you. I may write a letter. It's something that many pastors do just to encourage people to do year-end giving. And many people do that. And I want to tell you that is a blessing when people do year-end giving. And God has used that. Last year we just saw a miracle happen as people gave above and beyond. But for me, it's better for me if I give along the way. That's just the way I do it. I do 160 plus that way. I do World Mission Offering that way. I certainly do my tithing that way. And so for many of us, that's how it best happens. And so what we want to do is we want to share with you really an emphasis that will help us to kind of close the gap by the end of the year. We're calling it MY20, MY20. And MY20, what that represents is that if we give $20 per week over a course of 14 weeks, it'll be $280. And if every household does that, then we'll close that gap. We kind of did the math. If we started today, there's 14 weeks and $20 per week on average that people would give. The result would be $280, and we would see great things happen. Now, one thing I do know, some people can give more than that, and some people may not be able to even give that on a weekly basis. But I want to encourage you on a weekly basis, if you're tithing, increase it by 20 or whatever God lays on your heart. We just want to continue to make sure that our church is healthy and strong by the end of the year. If you're not giving, begin giving. If you're giving, consider tithing. You say, what does the money of the church go to? There's many, many different things, but if you're in life group, it goes toward resourcing life group and iKids and our student ministry. You know that we train children and adults at every level in different choirs in our church. We have a candy chase that is coming up, and that's going to be extraordinary because we're going to use that to share the gospel with our community, but at the same time, we're going to bless the Amanda Riley Foundation that helps kids with childhood cancer. And so we're going to be a part of that, and we have resources going toward that. We also do things like our Christmas celebration that we want you to invite a lot of people to come to. We share the gospel there, Vacation Bible School. There's many other things that we do. And when we do those things do take money, because when we invest that way, we're investing not only in people's lives today, but we're investing in things that will last forever. So God has called us to partner together and to look at these things as a personal responsibility. Now, you can make it fun. You can go digging out the couch cushions and find change that way. You can give up your double caramel latte, frappuccino thing that you may get every day for a season. It may be that instead of going out so much, maybe you eat in some. And there's many different ways to do it. You can make it fun in your family. You say, well, how are we going to know when people are giving to MY20? One of the things is if you get an offering envelope, many of us get this at home. If you're a member, you'll begin getting these at home if you haven't yet. If you're attending, there are those inside of the pews. If you're attending, you say, I really want to get them at home. You call the church office. We'll make sure you get some offering envelopes. We'll make sure to do that. But here it says the word other. After there's three things, there's other. Just mark out other and put MY20, put your amount there, and we'll be able to track what God is doing through MY20. In the weeks ahead, we want to update you. We want to share these things with you so that you know what God is up to, what God is doing through His people. Let me say this to you. I love you very much. You are my church family. You have cared for my family. We have cared for each other. You know, if somebody says, why didn't you share this with us until December? I wouldn't want to come back to you and say, well, I was just afraid to share with my family the need. And I feel like all I'm doing now is just sharing the need. And if we bear the load together, God is going to do something wonderful.